All right, now we're going to go through a list of how you can, what I would call, how can you destroy financial resources. All right, what is it? What are the things that actually destroy that or greatly inhibit my ability to generate those, create this flywheel effect? What type of things would actually slow that down? So if we look at what activities those would be, that would be things like buying a car that was well beyond your price range. If you do that, what's going to happen is you're going to go into debt to do that. Well, great. Now you have this big amount of debt that you have to pay off, and with interest, and now you have this car. That car, if it's expensive, is going to have more insurance along with it. A lot of those cars that are nicer, they actually eat through a lot of gas, or if you look at like a bigger truck, they can be exceptionally, I've seen trucks as high as $100,000 that people buy, and they have this massive amount. Well, guess what's going to happen? That truck is not going to go up in value. No one's going to say next year I want to buy a $120,000 truck or $130,000 truck. So if you get into debt for certain things, a tool or a resource that does not generate revenue, you're going to get in trouble. Right? It'll actually slow you down. You might be able to work yourself out of it, but you're going to be behind the bullet, or behind the behind the eight ball, as they say. So you want to focus in on how do everything, all the tools and all the real estate that I'm going to buy need to be income producing, and if they're not, you need to be fairly constrictive with those around how much income's going in. Right? If you're taking actions and you make $1,000 a month, you really shouldn't be going into $500 a month for a car. On the other hand, if you're taking actions and through whatever your you maybe purchased real estate and that's making, $2,000, $3,000 a month for you, right? That should be filtering through here. You could actually go buy a car if you wanted that would eat some of that money. So you want to make sure that as you're purchasing these resources, the real estate or the tools are generating, anyone that's generating additional money or additional things, those should be prioritized and scrutinized a little bit less than the ones that are not producing those, right? So if you're going to move into a really nice house, I'm going to move into this house, great, your heating bill's going to go up, your electric bill's going to go up, your property taxes are going to go up. All of those things by moving into this house, and you might feel good, hey, I've made it. But if you do not have the if you don't have the business model and the money coming in to support it, you're actually probably going to lose that house and potentially have to go through bankruptcy or those things. One final note, if you look at this as a family, like we've talked about, the number one way to destroy financial resources is to get divorced, right? That'll do all sorts of chaos, causes all sorts of problems. You get lawyers involved who essentially that's your divorce tax, and then you have all these other problems and those type of things. So, and then if you had a piece of real estate that was putting off money, in most cases you've got to sell that. So if the market's up or the market's down, but regardless, you're selling it and you want to get rid of it urgently, so you'll actually get a lower amount. If you had tools, those will get split, probably to people who don't use the tools. Maybe the husband is a contractor and he needs a truck to do his stuff, and if the wife was she was needed a dance studio to teach her dance, those things often get divided in bad ways and sold off. So you've actually done a big thing on destroying financial resources. So avoid divorce as much as possible. It has some massive ramifications if you're trying to actually become successful. And we can talk about a little bit of ways to do that. But again, the big way destroying it is spending your money on stuff that's not going to generate additional money or additional resources. Right? If you go into debt to become a doctor, you're going to have a lot of debt that will slow you down, but then you'll have those abilities and that job that will then accelerate you through here. On the other hand, if you go into $100,000 debt to get an ability such as, there's a number of like underwater basket weaving, some of these majors that colleges have that don't tend to generate money very well, those can actually be very detrimental, because now you're sitting on $100,000 in debt and you can only go get a job that was $25,000 to $50,000 in actual payments. So you want to be careful as you're spending your money. What are you spending it on? Don't don't spend it on resources, whether it's degrees or programs, those type of things that aren't going to generate additional money.